got something special we're going to do tonight. And this is tonight is going to be a start of a tradition that we're going to continue on. We wanted to offer something for our champions that would show people what a champion really is. We couldn't do this. I'm probably saying some of what you're going to say, but I'll be done with it. We couldn't do this with the full knowledge of the recipient of this because he would have never allowed it. There's no way he would have went along with it. He's too mild, meek, and humble to allow this to happen. So this has all been done under the table, behind the scenes. Now here you go, Keith. You just.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Well, for those of you that don't know me, I am more or less related. My dad passed away when I was 20, and I was working for Neal at the time, and he took adopted. Yeah, I'm the redheaded stepchild. You know, a lot of times when we honor people, it's after they're gone. Okay, and I want to stop while we still got somebody, and while I'm still alive, and honor somebody that's really near and dear to my heart. And that person is Neal Chance. Yeah. I met Neal in 1976. I actually met Mitch at school.
You are welcome.
And oh my God, my dad saw. I lost a brother when I was 8. He was 16 in a car accident. My dad saw the need for speed in me, and he heard about Neal and said, "Well, let's just all go to the races sometime. We'll hang out with them and we'll just see how that goes." Anyway, I got to know the family really well, and a few years later, my dad got killed in a car accident, and I was working for Neal, working on cars, and Neal came to me and said, "Listen, I can't afford to race Fords, but we can definitely keep you at the racetrack." And he taught me how to build motors, taught me how to build transmissions. Just taught me a lot about being a man. Taught me that family, was a top priority, and racing as a family was a top priority. And he taught me that we could race and still display our faith in God, and has always been a shining example for me in that way. Neal's business accomplishments, he's owned a transmission shop in Wichita that bears his name today, that's gone on since the 70s, and for any business to be in business for this long and have a fantastic reputation is commendable. He sends torque converters all over the world. The fastest pro mods in the world all run those torque converters. And nearly 6 decades of being involved in the sport, from driving a Kellison, a Corvette funny car, and then he changed it into a pro mod that ran 780s, which was killer way back then. And then he got in a big old 55 Chevy with a blower on it and hauled butt. And now I think he slowed down a little bit. He told me now he just goes out in the garage, fires it up and revs it up a few times, but he's been my hero, obviously, all these years. The only blemish on his record is right here. I'm still not sure what happened on that one, but when Mitch came to me and said, here's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about making a trophy and modeling it after my dad. And at first I was like, well, I don't know how that's going to go over, but I kind of knew how it would go over with Neal, because he'd be like, "No, you ain't doing that." So we kind of had to keep this on the down low, and Shane Gordon helped us with this. We decided to honor a great racer and a better person, and we came up with this.
But I wanted to say this. Dad knows nothing about this. Any of you guys know Dad? Know that he's a strong Christian man with great values and doesn't think of himself. I can remember when he tithed at the church, not that he doesn't now, but when I was a kid, he'd always do it in cash. So why do you do that, Dad? You don't get a record of it. You don't get any kind of receipt or anything to write off your taxes at the end of the year. He wasn't worried about that. He didn't want the recognition. This is killing him right now, I guarantee you, because he would never let us do this. Him and Mom was traveling back from Dallas one day. They stopped in Oklahoma City for a bite to eat. A group of men came in this restaurant. Her and Dad were sitting there just trying to grab a bite to eat, minding their own business. She said she looked over and those men were kind of yapping with themselves and looking and pointing and yapping and looking and pointing. And said finally they got up the courage and a handful of them came over to the table, interrupted them and said, "Excuse me for interrupting you guys' lunch. I just got to know." Mom said they looked at Dad and said, "Are you Neal Chance?" Before he could answer, my mom answered for him. "Well, yeah, he's Neal Chance, and he really isn't anything special." Well, the leader of the group, or whoever it was chose to be the spokesperson, looked at my mother and said, "Ma'am, I don't think you understand. This man is a legend here." And of course, Dad didn't want any of it. He sat down and conversed with them and chatted with them and till the guys finally sat back down and they finished their lunch. And Mom says that they had a 2.5-hour trip back to Wichita. Said Dad never said a thing, not one thing about it. But Mom said he did go downstairs, turn on the television, watch a little TV. And she said the one and only time, she said she walked by him and looked at him. He said he looked up and grinned at her and said, "Son, why don't you go get a legend an iced tea?" That's the only time that's ever been repeated and said about it. And he hasn't referred back to it since then. But that brings us to the point. But it's a perfect replica of my dad. And it's a perfect tribute from my family for my father, because he is a true champion. And he epitomizes what a champion is. And I don't mean that in the accomplishments that he's made on the racetrack, which are too numerous to list here. And those of you that are old timers and remember running with him can testify to some of those things, as well as the accomplishments in the racing industry. But when I talk about a true champion, I'm talking about a guy that didn't miss baseball games. He'd show up in his work clothes to be with his boys at a baseball game. He led us in prayer when we ate dinner. But he epitomizes the champion in all the other realms that sometimes we forget about. So the back of this trophy, these trophies, by the way, are called Nealies. That obviously after Neal. And it's not a Wally that you'd get if you were running NHRA. We think it's better. But anyway, we're going to start presenting these. But the very first Nealie that came off the press, I guess you could say, is going to be awarded to Dad now. I quickly should have done this. I should have read to you. I don't have my glasses on. But it says here, the Nealie, these are on the back of all of them. The definition of a true champion. Starting with his days on the drag strip in the 50s, Neal Chance's lifetime of R&D, innovations, and contributions continue to be a vital part of the on-track performance we realize today. So, without further ado, we'll continue on, and we will present the Nealies from this point on to all the champions.
Thank you.
Take those pictures down, check it out. Truth or consequence, say it aloud. Use that evidence.
This means more to me than you'd ever know. I promise you.
There goes my hero. Watch him as he goes. There goes my hero. He's ordinary.